Daybreakers is a shockingly entertaining movie that nobody saw. The 2009 sci-fi action horror film that only brought in 50 million worldwide is the perfect choice for an underrated Halloween movie. The film, directed by the Spierig brothers, has a unique twist on the overplayed vampire story and stars high-end actors like Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe.
We're the folks with the crossbows.
Daybreakers is set in the near future with the world overrun by vampires. Humans are scarce and are on the run by the vampiric corporations that simply capture and farm humans for blood. However, humanity is dying off quickly, and so is the vampire's blood supply. Vampires without blood eventually turn to bat-like creatures called subsiders. Ethan Hawke plays Edward, a vampire hematologist in charge of finding a blood substitute. Throughout the film, Edward shows immense sympathy towards humanity and what the vampire culture has become with their reliance on human farms to survive. If Ethan can't find an answer, the fate of the human race is doomed. Daybreakers was produced on a budget of $20 million. The Spierig brothers, who also worked on another small sci-fi film I'm a big fan of called Predestination, set out to make the film as much in camera as possible. Weta Workshop worked on the creature effects, with the vampires going for a more classical look. Original designs had a far more complex design, but they felt the minimalist approach was best for the film. Film critics were mostly mixed on the film, with it receiving a 68% Rotten Tomatoes score. Roger Ebert gave the film 2.5 stars, stating the premise was intriguing, but ends as so many movies do these days, with fierce fights and bloodshed. Daybreakers opened 4th at the box office behind Sherlock Holmes, the sequel to Alvin and the Chipmunks, and some tiny film called Avatar. Ethan Hawke was incredibly skeptical about joining the film, stating he wasn't a big fan of the vampire genre. However, he felt the brothers did a good enough job of making the story feel different than a typical B-movie. The film's allegory of man's pacing with natural resources was important, but also relented to say the film was still low art and completely unpretentious and silly. Speaking of art, that brings me to today's sponsor, Movie Palette. Movie Palette is an incredible piece of art designed around a movie. Each scene of a movie is analyzed to find the dominant color. Each dominant color is used chronologically to create art on a high quality canvas. These high quality canvases are planet friendly, with wood sourced from sustainable forests and a percent of the profit given back to One Tree Planted organizations. These gorgeous pieces of art make for exciting conversation pieces in your home. Use code NADER15 for 15% off your order. Brighten up your home, save the world, and help a tot all at once. Win, win, win. Thanks Movie Palette for sponsoring this review. But for the most part, I will agree with Mr. Hawke. Daybreakers isn't a piece of art, but is one of those movies that delivers a message in a runtime that is inoffensive. At 98 minutes, Daybreakers feels tight, never losing pace or sight of the story it is trying to tell. The idea of this vampire society ruling over humanity is vastly interesting, and the Spierig brothers script gives enough places to go with it to be fascinating. The world building here is great, with the unique cars, society devoted to living at night, and all the unique building concepts. Having a cross between having vampires not want to be humans again, and vampires being almost ashamed of the way they are, was such a neat concept that could have went even further. Sam Neill, who plays Bromley, the face of the corporate vampirism, is the typical one-dimensional baddie we would expect in a script like this. The way society is slowly falling apart throughout the movie, but he remains calm and pampered, was done really well. Lastly, the movie's climax and way of getting to the cure was pretty neat, albeit pretty quick to get there. I won't ruin it, but the idea of the cure relying on old vampire mythos is pretty cool. Overall, Daybreakers is a bloody good time. It doesn't reinvent the wheel or have some sort of charming time period piece that a lot of vampire media does. It has quality world building throughout, with some neat shots and some pretty awesome practical effects. The special effects used, yeah, they're not the best, but this movie was made for the cost of a Whopper. I'll let it go. This brings me back to that perfect fall Saturday or Sunday morning movie where 98 minutes doesn't offensively take your entire day and makes you wonder what you did wrong to deserve it. Daybreakers is honestly a must-watch. If you'd like to get another movie recommendation, click on this video here, and I'll see you on the next one.